Yep, I know it's another live stream early in the morning, which is usually not the normality of the live streams that I recently do altogether. Hold on, let me get rid of this. Make sure I don't have anything else thinking that I can just go and just yank my bandwidth. So let me just double check everything. I can get out of my live, same with that. Along with that can go away too. That can piss it and stick it. Anything else that's on this list? Oh, that can go. So can that. Anything else on this Dean's list of useless services that I do not need to have running? You can go away too, spooler. Okay, I think I got a. No, no, don't do that. Hello, Kayla. Okay, now they got all that taken care of. Okay. So, of course, this one's going to be an open floor and pretty much just me babbling and also making a new oil mixture since the last one I made, the bottle slipped out of my pocket and it decided, oh, I escaped and shattered all over the place. I got all my crystals out of it though. But the oil, well, the rip. But anyway, so I'll be making a replacement for that oil mixture that I unfortunately lost while I'm also talking about the topic at hand, which is knowing your place. And by knowing your place, meaning that you're knowing where you stand regarding and what you know, knowing what you don't know, knowing where, if you're interacting with somebody who's, okay, I don't care about that scamming email, go ahead and stick it. But knowing where your limits are, and actually, like, say, for example, when you're interacting with somebody and come to find out it's actually somebody who's more experienced in whatever field that you're talking about, primarily occult is the field at hand, and knowing that, okay, there's somebody who is a seasoned veteran and they're pretty much trying to give you proper insight or knowledge, and they're not correcting you in a mean way, they're just kind of giving you the, where the heck did that crystal go? Oh, it's attached to that stuff. But they're not really correcting you in a way that's intended to be like, snobby, but they're just trying to better give you the correct information so that way you don't be using incorrect info in your practice. But there are some people that think that, oh, I'm being corrected. Oh, they must think I'm wrong. Oh, no, 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 no. I'm going to turn on them and push back. No, because there's a fine line with somebody being, not new with the whole field. They've been doing it for a long time. And then there's some that have been in the field for a while, and then they actually don't know how do I put this? They don't know how to tolerate what's new, but instead of actually going about it in a way to better help the inexperienced person, they kind of go about it in a way that's a little bit demoralizing and downing. But anyway, that's the general plan for this vital, ongoing verbal nonsense for today. So, I guess the best way to start is, well, stop sending me spam. No, sorry, I keep getting emails from like some dimwit thing of that. Oh, I'm going to pose to the IRS. Okay, you think I'm stupid? Email address that has connivingsusan at gmail.com. You think I'm that dimwitted, huh? Cute. No. But, and even I have seen this quite frequently too. Now, don't get me wrong. You can have somebody who's very young. Some people even consider me as one of them. And I'm going to be 30 this year, so don't think I'm that young, okay? I'm flattered, but no. There are a lot of brilliant young practitioners that actually do teach or kind of give information and share about the occult arts and practice. I have nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with it at all. The only issue that I have is when somebody who is teaching these practices kind of push it in a way that is dangerous, inaccurate. And by inaccurate, I'm meaning like they're pretty much giving out information that clearly, well, I mean, not clearly, because people that they're telling this to, they may not even know themselves, but they're giving information that is not the best put it. It's the information that's not going to be yielding the most optimal and most desired results, and it may potentially do more harm than good. And then when they get confronted, they actually turn out to think that, oh, I'm being challenged. I'm going to table flip on them and just start mocking whomever is opposing me. Well, no. Because as a good example, I have many people. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not throwing spears at my own fan base, because I do not operate like that. But there are some that kind of put me on a pedestal. Now, don't get me wrong. It is what it is. If somebody wants to put me there, fine. But I'm not putting myself up there. I know my spot. I know what I know, and that's pretty much that. I don't go around being like, I am a guru. No. Because the minute that you actually have somebody being all like that, nope. Sorry, Cupcake. You think you guru, but really you fake guru. And now you never be guru because you said, I am guru. No. So the issue with not knowing your place and... Okay, I have a message from somebody. I'm going to try and multitask here. The issue with not knowing your place, especially in the cult field, is that potentially you actually risk kind of also not only putting yourself in hot water, but primarily if you have somebody who's following you and listening to you and taking everything you say like seriously, and they believe it like 100%, like you're, in a way, this is going to sound odd, but go with it. You're kind of woozy-wooing them, and they are all, yes, I agree with this. Yes, this is exactly how it is. Yes. Well, you have also an obligation to keep in mind now that, okay, if you just told this person to do vampirism, you pretty much you can actually do vampirism by biting them in the jugular vein and then just going nom 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 on them nonstop. If you tell somebody to do that and they end up doing it, it can come back on you. I'm not saying it to be all like, oh God, you're such a buzzkill. No, because that's what's going to happen. It's going to come back on you, and somebody's going to be like, well, he said this is how you do it. But then again, somebody will be dim-witted enough to actually carry out assault, because that's what it is. That is assault. And when you're doing actual kind of magical procedure that is actually physical, you don't literally bite someone. You have to do it energetically. But if you get consent from somebody to, to get a chomp out of them, then that's completely different. But I can kind of sincerely doubt that that's the most ideal. Hello, Fiona. And there have been quite a few that I've, have seen. Thank goodness I haven't interacted with, because it probably would have been a different story. That it had even more people claiming to have done X, Y, and Z, and supposedly have done like a ludicrous level of things. Like, for example, probably my most personal favorite. Oh boy, here we go. Oh, I actually, commanded Lilith to appear before me, and now I control her, as an example. Well, I don't know what to tell you, Cupcake, but if you happen to do that, you probably have realized you made a big mistake. And by a big mistake, like, well, good congratulations. You'll be in the next Jackass remake. So, good luck. Oh, that was too much oil I put in there. So, no, really. In all seriousness, though, claiming that, if you're able to actually take control or actually command or throw around an entity, that pretty much is, I don't know, literally the complete opposite of submissive and obedience. If you're claiming that you were able to get her to submit and listen to you and do as you please and you control her, I don't know how to tell you this, Cupcake, but something's fishy, and it's definitely not me because I hate fish. So, minor detail about that. But another big thing as well, when there's people that have been practicing this art, because the occult is an art, and witchcraft and all of that, and even stuff that's handed down, like voodoo, um, another traditional ways of magic and ceremonies. When you happen to actually go towards that and actually be curious to actually either one learn it or actually just try and get yourself initiated, and if you try to think that it's a good idea to actually tell one of the high priests or priestesses or somebody who's actually what's the term called? What is that called? I'm trying to remember. But somebody who's actually like an initiated practitioner and they've been practicing it since like their youth, and you obviously know, well, you're not really that new here, so they kind of know what they're talking about. But then when you try and go to them and they tell you, well, in order for you to do this, you need to have initiation, you need to have this, this, and this, and this. And then you have the bright idea to tell them, no, I don't need to have all that. I just need to get initiated and I'm all good. No. No. And when an individual thinks that they can tell somebody who has been in the tradition longer than they probably existed, no. And that's something that I've also noticed too. People that do believe that they can just pick up whatever they want to and go about it willy-nilly, but now keep in mind, there are some traditions you can potentially do that with. There are some ways that you can do that, but there are some you do have to have initiation to go into, such as voodoo. Like you actually have to have somebody who's an initiated priestess, or depending on whichever rank is required to initiate you into that, you do need that because you have to follow the guidelines by the tradition. And it doesn't matter, no ifs, ands, buts, or tushies, how you think, feel, say about it. It has to be done that way. And if you really want to go into that path, and then you realize, oh, I had to give up something, and I had to stick to only with this. You can't be thinking you're going to be select, get the initiation, and then try and sneak your way out of it, and then try and do what you want. No, don't do that. Because if you think you're slick and that you think you're going to try and pull a fast one, you might get, well, for one, excommunicated, and it may spell not so good for you. And you kind of don't want to have that on your karmic record because that's an obligation. But however, knowing your place does also require you to be able to understand, I know absolutely nothing. Literally, everything that I know is complete minuscule. I know absolutely nothing. I am fresh meat wherever I go. And it's literally impossible to know everything surrounding a topic or surrounding a practice or anything whatsoever I encounter. Now, keep in mind, there are some people that be like, well, there's some people that are very proficient and they excel and they happen to have a lot of experience in said craft. Okay, whoopee woo. But in order to call yourself a master at it, meaning that it's picture perfect, on point, flawless every single time, well, no. Even you could even take the most perfect person who actually is able to cut, like for example, cut a diamond in the perfect heart shape, measurement and all, but it's not perfectly flawless because it has a slight little chip on one of the sides, but from a distance it looks like it's a-okay, but it's not. It's still not the picture perfect, and that's not the flawless masterwork, if that makes sense, because to be absolutely flawless perfect, that's not possible, and being consistent with it, good luck with that. And even in that too, why in the heck do you want to even be at that kind of a level? Wouldn't you think after a while it would be rather boring to be doing overly perfected work every single time and actually not being able to realize, oh, I can do something else to get the same result, or actually make something even better by accident? And believe me, that happens a lot. But you wouldn't know unless you made it, like, oh, that's a bad comparison. Okay, whatever, we'll go with it. Just like how, oh god, this thing's show my age. Like how with the Powerpuff Girls, Professor What's-His-Face accidentally added chemical X with, all that sugar, spice, and all cakes and roses and woozy wooies. Accidentally adding that X chemical. Should have also added O's to it too, so that way it would calm down a little. But because he added that one chemical by accident, he actually became a father of 3. Unplanned. So there you go. If he was actually following that recipe or doing whatever the heck he was trying to originally do in the first place, and if he actually did it to the T, he probably would not have had his, surprise obligation for, up until the age of 18 with those 3. He probably would not even have it, and probably would have saved a lot of a headache. But also at the same time, not be able to have 3 forces protecting him. But that's the thing, though. Knowing your place does also require you to understand that there's always going to be somebody better, somebody more potent, somebody more knowledgeable, and somebody more versed and more excelled than I am in whatever field, practice, or whatever the bloody heck you're doing. Yep, there's always going to be somebody better. But now the thing is, somebody who's better, don't look at them as competition. Don't look at them that way. Please don't. Because if you do it that way, you're going to drive yourself bonkers. Because now you're going to be trying to push yourself to be like, oh, I must do it better than Mr. Fitzgerald over there, or whatever the bloody heck. No, don't try and do it exactly like how he is. Do what you feel you need to do to grow. And if you have to actually go towards he Fitzgerald over there to actually, learn from him, just go over there and ask him and learn from him. There's nothing wrong with actually being inspired to learn from Mr. Fitzgerald. Just go over and ask him. He's not going to spear you. Well, if you annoy him, he probably will. Just bloody do it. And don't be all envious like, oh, I can't believe this Fitzgerald guy being able to woozy woo, whoever he wants by just existing. I wish I could do that. I gotta find a way to take him out. No, none of that. No. That's actually going about it in the wrong way. Don't do that, please. And probably another big one. Get in there. Oh, that's a series of unfortunate events. Oh well. This is awkward. One simply does not break the dropper. Oh well. Whoopsies happen. Luckily, there's no broken glass. Not a lot of broken glass. So, okay, easy fix. Just gonna go a little bit like this. Where? And got it. I'm just gonna screw that. Oh, that sounds so bad. No, let's not screw it. That's not suggested. You just get that out of my life. Okay. Where the heck did the roller part go? It'll show up eventually, probably. But in order for you to really know your place, like I said, there's always going to be somebody better than you. There's always going to be somebody more proficient than you. There's always going to be somebody who is actually going to do the exact same thing you did and then actually make you look like you don't even know what you're doing. But they're not going to be like being all like, oh, wow, you call that or whatever? Well, watch this. No, that's not what I'm pointing at. What I'm pointing at is that there's always going to be an individual that's more adept and actually somebody that you can actually, if you have people that are inspired by you, and people that actually look up to you in this regard, and they actually ask you a question that you have absolutely no idea what the answer could be, milkshake. Like, no idea whatsoever. You have no idea what the answer is, and then you can actually go from like, oh, bloody heck. Okay, good. Got it to work. You can actually either one, give them a false woozy-woo answer, just so that way you still maintain like, oh, he knows what he's talking about and he knows everything. Or you can actually be honest and truthful and admit that I have no idea what the answer to that question is. Probably the best example. What the bloody heck are you doing, Cupcake? Get out of here. Nope, away with you. Good. Probably the best example would have to be, what in the bloody? It would have to be like how whenever like somebody asks a question about one of the Goetic divines or even the satanic practice, I even make it perfectly clear that, hey, if anything, oh wow, that came out way, oh boy, I think I made a monster. Great. Oh well, it happens. When it comes to like working with the darker forces, the Goetics, the Left-Handed Path, Satanism, and those practices, I mean, I'll be completely honest. I was on the path before, so I'm aware and I'm somewhat knowledgeable to an extent about it. Am I proficient and all-knowing with it? Nope. Not even close, son. Close, but nope. So instead, that's why I usually inform people, hey, if you want a better answer, ask, for example, Kendra, because she's been doing the whole satanic and satanic witchcraft practice longer than, even before I existed. So, yeah, she probably, and by probably more likely, will be a more reputable and more knowledgeable source than I ever could be. And that's knowing my place. Like, I know, but when it comes to the more accurate and the more notable information and to actually give a better answer, I'd rather somebody get it from somebody that's actually part of the path all the way and has actually been with that path since like forever before I existed, funny enough. Because I only know so much and I can share my perspective and what I've encountered, but that's pretty much it. Nothing else too fancy smancy with it. But then again, now same thing can be said like if somebody was asking her about like say for an example, oh boy, I'm trying to think because I mean she knows a lot and she's been practiced longer than I have, so I don't even know. Probably like when it comes to like I'm gonna just go with Vedic astrology. Like if somebody asks her a question about Vedic astrology, she actually might even point them into my direction. But still, that's still knowing like the place that well, this is not my forte. This is not my excel. However, I have a friend that actually knows better than me in that topic that you're asking of. So here they are. Go at them. Ask them. Toodaloo skadoosh. And that's also kind of knowing the place too. But. One of the other things that is pretty important when knowing the place too. This also does go involving interacting with astral entities, divines, spirits of any kind. Like for an example, say if you're going towards, let's just go with, let's just say, for example, actually, let's go with Queen Hera. Let's say if you're wanting to approach Queen Hera and actually offer to work alongside her and invest with her. You go towards her and you're like, hey, Hera, I need to ask you something. No. Don't ask her like that. Don't go up to a queen, especially Hera, and be like, hey, I need to ask you something. Don't, no. Point being, you're going towards and you're inviting a queen of the Olympians, the queen of the gods, pretty much. You're going towards her and not acknowledging her title, not acknowledging her standing, and pretty much just thinking, oh, I can just go towards her like anybody else. No, don't do that. Because I can guarantee she'll probably respond with like, oh, you think you're, you think you're fancy, huh? Thinking that you can just walk on in here and just say, hey, I need to ask you something. Do you not know this crown on top of my head? Also known as, she be referring to her as Queen of Olympus. That's precisely why I even advocate when you're going towards any entity that has a title, such as, but not limited to, a king, like the Goetic divines, how they actually have a king. Then there's, of course, the queen, in Hera's case. Then there's also like Marquis, president. That's more of the Goetic side, though. But you get the idea. And even also in Hindu mythology, if you're going towards, say, like, if you're going to be approaching, say, like Lord Vishnu, Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, Lord Ganesh, same thing, can address them as Lord. Or even, you can even also say, my Lord Ganesh, or along the sorts. Because what you're doing is you're giving them that reverence and respect that, okay, this divine being has a title. And when a divine being has a title, they either have earned it, they've been bestowed it, or they've actually been given that by many humans. Like they actually acknowledge this being as like Lord, and they've bestowed that title to him. But there's also some instances where they've been bestowed that by another higher up divine being. That's completely different. But nonetheless, still, if it's part of their name and is their title, know your place and please acknowledge them by it. Even also, like in the Goetia, how there's also Knight Furcross. I believe that's how you say his name, Furcross. Here, I'll even try and get his card out real quick. Let me see here. Let me go. And funny enough, at least in the Goetia by McGregor Mathers, that guy. Kind of oddly, there is really only one knight in the whole account of his. Everybody else is either Marquis, King, Duke, Marquis, Duke, King, President, and there's another title. I'm trying to remember what else it is. But you get the idea. Like, there's only really just one knight, at least to my knowledge, and I could be completely whiffing it. And if Kendra comes in and be like, well, there's more than one knight. But yes, there is one. Then hit me upside the head with a blunt object, being like, oh, nope, there's more than one. Of course, it would be right there. So, the Knight Furcross, and as a knight, the knight is actually usually seen as, the servant of the, I don't want to say the lowest class, because I don't know, I don't like it. But like as you see right over here, there is this symbol of Shani or Saturn, and then Sagittarius, and in this deck, he's the Hermit. But knight is part of his title, meaning that that's what he's been given as pretty much part of his name. So when you go towards him or any other entity that has a title, here's another one, Prince. That's another one, especially Prince. So make sure that when you go towards them, please, for bloody heck, please make sure you call them by their title at first if you haven't gone towards them before. Because doing so, it actually gives them a sign of like, oh, okay, this individual actually has some decency and is actually called me properly. Because little things like that will make a big difference, but you don't have to be calling them like that all the time unless you prefer to call them that, or they tell you to call them by something else, or they just say you don't have to call me Duke Dantalion or Duke Auguras every time that you interact with them. If they say to call them something different, or you don't have to add this, you can get rid of this, or whatever the bloody heck you are told to do, just go with it and do it. Because that's showing that hello, truth. That's showing that you do have the decency and dignity to actually honor their wishes and kind of give them that honoration that they are kind of entitled to, just like everybody else with the title. But now here's another thing too about knowing thy place. Now keep in mind, this does involve anything regarding any physical being, be like another human being, a god, goddess, any kind of being. Now don't get me wrong, this is not, taking a swing at any kind of spiritual entity, no. But it does show that every form of consciousness that exists still has growth that it needs to do. Regardless of whomever it is or whatever it is, it don't matter. As existence stands right now, everything still has to learn and grow. It is what it is. That's just how it is. Don't like it? Well, I don't like it either, but deal with it. So, to be kind of honest too, a title, really at the end of the day, is not really a measure in one's ability, skill, proficiency, or a sign of their character, or pretty much how they pretty much live life and interact with life, with themselves and others. If anything, all that a title is just a standing point in front of a large collective or in a workplace or a standing. That's all it is. Because the thing is, you could have a PhD in medicine and medical practice, but if you're stupid, you're stupid. I'll say that again. You can have a doctorate in medical science and surgical procedure and any kind of specific type of medicine. But if you're a dimwit and stupid, you're a dimwit and stupid. You could be having all these certifications, you could be having all these doctorates, you could be having these masters, you can have these PhDs all over the place. But if you're a dimwit and you're trying to be in the next Jackass and final Jackass movie by doing stupidity, well, you're just as dimwitted as those people in Jackass. Having a title does not mean that you always have wisdom, and it doesn't mean that you always have the correct answers. If anything, only having a title like that and having that piece of paper just shows you've gone through the jumps and hoops through a man's expectations to, hold that title and practice that title and the obligations surrounding that title. That's it. And even also, sometimes even the title that you do get bestowed, you don't even have to have it be given by a piece of paper or going through years and years and years behind, a student desk and having someone lecture you and giving you assignments that either one make no sense or just completely impractical, but by a curriculum standard. Sometimes you don't even need that. You just got to actually just take in the knowledge and absorb it and actually put it into practice and learn from it and take the time you need to get your fingers dirty with it. And you could be proficient with it, and heck, you don't even have like the typical paper that says, yep, this person has done this many hours of this many things of this expected curriculum, so they are able to actually do said work of said title. Like, for an example, probably one of the biggest ones, but now keep in mind, over in India, there are astrologers that actually do hold the title of doctor. Practicing astrology, you can get a doctorate in it. At least over in India. That is, you can. And it is actually considered a science. And before somebody comes in and says, well, it's a pseudoscience. To be completely honest, astrology was already a science before the word science was even made. So, but nonetheless, you can definitely not need to have a master's or a certification, at least by the United States standard, to practice it and provide the service for it. You don't need it. However, in India, they do acknowledge it and they do accredit it as a doctrine type of work and service. And really, that's very admirable, because really what they're doing is they're maintaining, they're actually maintaining the handed down practice of it. And funny enough, there is actually a type of astrology called medical astrology. They can use astrological placements and astrological charts, such as in this case, you would want to see the D30, which is afflictions, diseases, health, challenges, and essential parts of the body that get afflicted with disease or muscle infections and the whatnot. The D30 actually points out those afflictions. And although you have to be very, at least over here in the American side, if you're going to be using that to diagnose somebody, you have to be really careful with it. But over in India, doctrines potentially have the potential to use the D30 and astrology to actually point out somebody's potential afflictions or what somebody is afflicted with, and actually use that to advise potential remedial procedures of care. And even at that too, one of the things that medical astrology can also do, and really you just need the lugna to know from the D1, depending on what lugna you are or what your ascendant is, you can actually use the gemstone therapy or using gemstones and crystals as remedial measures. Take, for example, say you're an Aries ascendant. Okay, whoop-de-whoop. You're an Aries. You're the headstrong ram. And for some reason, your kneecap is hurting. All you know is what your ascendant is, Aries. And for some reason, your knees, your patella, are in extreme pain. And you're trying to figure out, what in the bloody heck can I do to make these, knees stop hissy fitting? So, with the gemstone therapy, and hello, Crow Witch, one of the techniques that, I even advise people with using gemstones and crystals to actually combat these challenges and actually using the exact same method. One of the things you can do is first you have to take a look to see what planet rules the house that's actually associated with the kneecaps, which is the 10th house, and that's your kneecaps. As an Aries ascendant, Capricorn rules your 10th house, naturally, and that's your patella, naturally. So now you got to figure out, okay, Capricorn. Okay, now what planet owns Capricorn? Well, that's Shuni, Saturn, the old geezer that likes to beat you with a blunt stick for being stupid. So with that in mind, now we got to choose stones that actually are Saturnian in nature. Now, there's quite a few you can choose from. Black moonstone is one. This is actually, believe it or not, it's actually a moon and Saturnian stone in one. That's one option. Probably the best option is blue sapphire, because this stone is actually Saturn's and Shani's stone, naturally. Unhanded. Hematite, because, well, hematite as a stone, it's heavy. Like, if you try and once you hold it, it kind of makes you go, kind of spikes you down to earth. So hematite's another one. And also Saturn himself, or Shani himself, kind of does really spike you back down to earth. Well, again, here's another hematite. Black obsidian, that's another one. Also, snowflake obsidian can be another one. Let's see, I know I have. Black shungite will also probably be another really good viable option. Black tourmaline would be another one. You could also go with amethyst if you wanted to, but probably the best one in this case would either be of one of three. Your hematite, a scoochie tushy, blue sapphire, or the black moonstone. So, the way that this technique works, let me scooch down a little bit. Now let me just get up a little bit so that way you can kind of see me actually work this thing. So, as a Capricorn lugna, a Aries lugna, Saturn rules your patella, your 10th house, and your kneecaps, and also your ankle. So with that in mind, you take your black stone. In this case, I'm going to be using the black moonstone. And what you would do is that you would start, and then you would actually go counterclockwise and massage it 10 times. 10 circles. Then once you're done with one leg, Of course, you have to do the same thing with the other leg. And again, hello, Anna. And as well, if you rather, you can also do it a total of 8 times too, because 8 is also one of Saturn's numbers, so you can also do it 8 times. But doing so, you're actually activating the Saturnian energy with the black stone. You're going on to the part of the body that he rules in your placement, and you're actually using the sign of Capricorn, which is the 10th sign, and the 10th house, which is the kneecaps. You're double whammying it. So you're maintaining that consistent energy with it. And that's how usually gemstone therapy or ideal measures with stones can be used in that regard. But then there's also the idea of actually wearing like certain stones. Like for example, this one's I'm not going to flip you off. Keep your weave on. Like this one's actually a real blue sapphire. And like, I don't focus. Real. Like this is legit blue sapphire. It's not one of them lab grown ones. It's a silver band. And I got another one on this side. This is actually also focus, you stupid dimwit. This is actually also another remedial procedure you can do. But when it comes to the Saturnian stones, like blue sapphire, because it's the old geezer stone, and knowing how he naturally is, the stone has to be perfectly cut. It has to be the right carat. It has to be the right kind of band. It has to be the right material. It cannot be lab grown. It has to be precisely, exactly how it's prescribed to be. If it's off by a little bit, adverse effect happens. And that's pretty much how strict blue sapphire and Saturn is with the stone. Because if you're going to be wearing his stone, it better be the absolute perfection cut and everything. But then again, it also depends on your rising sign, and if it's your life stone, that can make a huge difference. For me, it's my life stone. And also depending on what finger you wear it on, makes a big difference too. But in this case, again, since I have both of them on the middle finger, and Saturn actually does own the middle finger because, well, I mean, he's the planet that's the most rebellious. Huh? You want me to do what? Nope. Nope. Go away. Go away. No. Stop. Rebellious. Nope, not doing it. So that does also include the energy and pushes as well. But also depending on what sign it is as well. So for example, for Capricorn, that would also be in the middle finger, but primarily, for at least for me, since my ascendant, moon, and drum Saturn are Capricorn, it would be pretty much within these areas. Oh yeah, well I mean I'm going to be staying live for a little bit longer too. It's just I'm going off on a tangent about using gemstones and crystals as a remedial measure. But now let's take another example, because I mean this is something that I can actually get so giddy and so wrapped up in that I completely forget what time it is. Now say for an example, now you have pain in your foot, and your footsy's hurting, and you are a Taurus ascendant. So Venus actually becomes your ruling planet. So now you had to figure out, okay, what part of the body actually goes along with which planet rules the 12th house, your feet, your toesies. Well, in that case, it would actually be Mars, the little hothead, the little sassy, feisty, not having it, and most violent, and table flipping, and snapping people in two. Yeah, that lovely guy. The one you definitely don't want to, agitate, because he'll just snap you in two. So I don't think I do. I think okay. So Mars related. Easy, Zeus. Easy, Zeus. But anyway, so Mars related stones. Now, Martian stones, that sounds so weird when I say it though, because I think of Marvin the Martian, that invader, Dimwit. But Mars stones, in this case, would be, well, your 12th house for feet would be Aries. And Aries ruled by Mars, so essentially you would want to use Martian stones or stones that are most likely red or related to Aries and whatnot. What can you? How about now? Is my microphone working, or did it go out? Am I okay? How about now? I unplugged it and plugged it back in. Am I good? I hope so, because I really don't want to restart the stream. Yay, nay, meh. Oh. Oh. Okay. Well, alrighty then. This. Just hit any key to continue, I guess. Just bash it repeatedly. So I'm going to keep going then. So, Mars-related stones that are primarily red. So you're going to be wanting to take a look at stones such as, but definitely not limited to. You can take a lovely carnelian, this little red. What is the bloody heck going on here? Hold on. Let me take a look at this bloody thing. Okay, so. Oh. Well, So, YouTube, what are you bloody doing? Are you just trying to mute me and make me, be silent because you don't like what I'm talking about? Well, boo-hoo, woe is Adam. Oh, Lord, Atlanta. I can't deal with this. We cannot deal with this. Well, deal with it, piss it, stick it, lick it, and oh, God, Lord, Atlanta. Woo. But anyway. Spirit. Well, I mean, here, I'll even put it this way. You, the spirit, can you just, thank you. I'm kind of in the middle of teaching something. If you want me to give you attention, please hold your pigeons. No. You can hold your pigeons. You can wait your turn. I'll give you attention in a moment, but I'm in the middle of, teaching people. So, Mars stones. Mars-related stones. Carnelian is one. Another one is, this one's known, I like to call this one vampire eye, but if you want to be technical, it's called ox eye, or pretty much red tiger's eye. I prefer to call it vampire eye because it sounds better. A really good one, bloodstone. Ooh, it's bloody. Garnet, but specifically this one is a star garnet because of just like how the shimmer effect is gliding over the surface of it. So this one actually does have qualities of Aquarius alongside with the Aries and Mars with it. Next one, this little flirty, nasty thing. This little flirty, suggestive, woozy woo. Did I mention it's mating season? Thulide. That's another one. And the one that's actually probably the most fitting. I mean, there's another one that's red bamboo coral, but I don't have any of that. But probably the best one, good old ruby. So, you have your Mars stones. So now we're going to go and grab one of them. I'm going to just go with, come here, bloodstone. Bloody, definitely not vampire rock. So your feet are kind of throwing a hissy fit in your Taurus Lugna. Oh, I'm going to try and do this without making myself break my leg or break my inner leg, pull my hamstring. So now you have your foot that's hissy fitting. Well, for one, stop hissy fitting. No. I mean, to be honest, that's kind of like what I do anyway. Like, oh, my foot's, being just a pain in the toes, and I don't want to deal with it. Stop hissy fitting. Just quit it, hon. So, bloodstone. Here's how it works. Simply put, you take your bloodstone, you start on the top of the foot, which would be right on the top. You would actually then go down counterclockwise. You're going to come down and around, go up and down the foot, and come around up and down the foot on the other side. And the same thing with the other side. Counterclockwise, going down, up, around, down, up, one time. Because that's the number for Aries, 1. And also since the foot has the 1 there, Aries, the first sign, and Mars and all that, then that's how it works. So that's another example. Like how this thing just decided, oh, I'm going to hit you in the face. Thanks. Gee, thanks for that. That's totally what I wanted to have. Thank you, Mike. Milkshake. Quit doing that. Quit doing that or you're fired. Consider yourselves fired and prison bound. Your incompetence is nothing short of unspeakable. Am I still... That's going to sound weird. Am I still audible? Or is my mic just... Yay, nay, meh, meh? 4 and 2 centuries ago, he did that thing. That thing that shall not be spoken of, because that thing is bad. Troll face. Oh, the D30, how deciphering it would affect your life. Now, deciphering the D30. Now here, let's break it down. So, using the D1's medical astrology, the parts of the body is the exact same thing. So, okay, Kingerdoodle. So let's go through the D1 with the medical astrology, taking it by section on the body. Lugna, first house. Your head, the crown, right here. Also the whole physical body as a general whole. Second house, your face. This thing. And also here. Eyes, nose, mouth, ears, tongue, nose. I said eyes. And also the throat. Third house, your hands, your phalanges, your wrist, your arms, your shoulders, your back shoulders, your lungs, your rib cage. Primarily just the lungs. Fourth house, your chest, your heart center. Fifth house. Oh boy. Looks like I'm going to get a little bit interactive here, so have fun with that. So, fifth house is essentially the navel, like right here, and where the diaphragm's at, like right around in here. So, the sixth house, that's the intestinal tract, and kind of like slightly below where the navel's at. Okay, the seventh house. Well, that's essentially right here. Is going to go like right at the waistline and a little bit down, because there's the waistline being like the scales, and then a little bit down. Those are the two things holding it. The eighth house as well, the nasty parts, and also the eject in the back, if you catch my drift. The ninth house is the front and back thighs. You're oh God, why am I going to say that? It's screw it. If you want to know if somebody's going to be good at twerking, you can see how good their ninth house is. If their ninth house is good, their thighs are good. It's good enough for it. Vulgar. Why did I have to mention that? It just sounds so bad. Anyway, 10th house is your kneecaps. 11th house is essentially from the kneecap down all the way to the shins and ankle. And also in the back too. 12th house is the foot, the footsies. And now, that's all the houses and the body parts. Now we go and take a look over to the D30. So now here comes the funny part. Essentially, it's going to be somewhat kind of familiar. Let's start with all at the beginning. The Lugna, the D30, the afflictions in the brain, the cranium, damages up here. Any kind of damages up here. Let's just go through all the houses first. D30 Lugna is the cranium. D30 second house is afflictions to the eyes, nose, mouth, tongue, ears, throat. The third house of the D30, affliction to the hands, fingers, wrists, arms, shoulders, lungs. Fourth house, afflictions to the heart and the chest area. Also, breast cancer is potentially having the most potential to be seen if there's affliction to the fourth house in the D30. It has the most potential. The fifth house, affliction to the diaphragm, and also essentially that's mainly towards the navel area and the gastro. The sixth house, afflictions to the digestive tract, and also the liver, small intestines and large intestines, colon, kidneys, and appendix. The seventh house, affliction to the waist and upper thighs, and like the really like below the waist. Damages for like the waist, like if somebody's actually paralyzed from the waist down, you can actually see that with the seventh house. The eighth house, afflictions to those parts. So somebody not being able to conceive, as well as some poor, unfortunate soul having, erectile dysfunction and having, not being able to be as good as he once was, if you know what I mean. Ninth house, affliction to the thighs and back thighs. 10th house, affliction to the poor patella. 11th house, affliction to the shins, below the knee, and to the ankle. 12th house, affliction to the feet and toesies. There you go. Something as simple as that. See? But another thing about the D30, though. The D30 is also another chart you can look at to see the character and ethics of a woman. I don't write this stuff, that's just what it is. But now the thing, though. If you're going to be reading the D30 for a woman, and you're going to try and understand her character more with that chart, you cannot read it the same way. You cannot read it as, parts of the body being afflicted. No, don't do it. Because you're going to be taking a rocket launcher and blowing off your leg, and you don't want to blow off your leg with a rocket launcher because you'll be ending up blowing up yourself. And you don't want to, drop a nuke on yourself because that's dim-witted. Okay, so taking it from the tippity top. The D30 for understanding the character of a woman. The Lugna, first house. Understanding her character and the thoughts in her mind and how she's using her sense of, I'm trying to remember, her sense of morality and character in responding to that around her. The second, how she presents herself, not the lagna, because that's in the head. The face, how she presents herself and actually communicates or actually uses the senses to pretty much show her character. The third, her efforts of her character. The fourth, what her deepest core value is in the heart, what she swears by, what's the most intimate to her. Her fifth, pretty much how she expresses her character and how she creatively expresses it, as well as the character that she bestows to her children. The sixth house. Essentially, that's where you have her character being challenged and how she defends her character and how she uses her character to combat any kind of discrepancy. Seventh, how she shares her character and actually proves herself to the significant other, husband figure, or even also wife figure, because it can be potential for having a woman-woman connection. But then again, it also depends, because it can also be like how other people look towards her character. The eighth house, how her character may be drastically transformed, and also how her character and ethics are regarding to having affairs, and how she uses her character towards the in-laws, and also how she actually may keep secrets about her character and stuff hidden from the world. Ninth house, what her highest moral ethics are in, and how she actually way of morality from her guru figures. The 10th house, essentially in the whole standing of the world, how does the world and other pretty much society as a whole see her character? 11th house, how does she gain with her character and ethics system? The 12th. And also the friends too. What characteristics does her friends have towards her, and how do they acknowledge her? The 12th. How does she use her character to escape this world? And how does she use her character to be able to understand how she could be peacefully at rest? But primarily how she can escape this world and how she can donate her time and actually give her service with her effort to other individuals. That's quite a bit of a lot. My mouth is tired. But yeah, that's just kind of a different way of how you actually do with the D30. But then there's also another chart you can actually take a look at to actually see if somebody has the potential to be a yogi figure, or kind of like a guru figure, or a higher moralistic guiding figure. You then actually, funny enough, take a look at the, not D20, not that one, not the D12 either, not the D8. Funny enough, the actual D3. One rent, huh? Oh, I own my rent? I'm sorry. I forgot about me rent, so toodaloo, off with you. Actually, here. I have just the thing I'll play. Let me grab it. Please hold while your request is being processed. And here we go. Okay, so here's my response for that one. Piss, kid, stick. Piss, kid, stick. I've actually really contemplated on actually making a podcast and actually have like all of those be playing just for giggles.
Are you kidding me? What the f is wrong with you? Distance yourself. Wait a minute.
Okay, well, I have to attend to a client who now wants me assistance and actually take a look at the situation she has and give her a hand with it. So I'll be back later on. I hope you guys learned something from this and had a good laugh at the very end. But other than that, toodaloo. See you on the next stream. Where